United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And join me for a moment of silent prayer. Amen. All right, we need a motion to approve tonight's agenda for January 6th, 2025. The only change we're going to make is probably during the department reports. We're going to have a little bit different order than what's printed, but that's the only change. So if there is... Excellent. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 4 is the time we allow for citizen comments to bring thoughts or anything forward to the city council. It is a good reminder that we appreciate not having our staff or council called out in the public meeting. We have avenues for those discussions off the record if needed. So I'm not sure if anybody's here for that. Anybody? So we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item 5, which is exhibit 1. It's the minutes from the December 16, 2024 city council meeting. If you had a chance to review those, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now's the time that we have, we get to hear from different departments who we support, and we're going to start with Jess Keel from Prairie Winds Event Center with her annual report.
So it's up behind you there, Mayor.
Okay, good. I'll get on there. I'll cozy with Darren.
All right, let's talk about the event center. All right, this is our numbers for, just a reminder, our calendar at the Event Center works a little bit different. We track our events per year by the calendar year, and then financials are all by the fiscal year. It's just kind of how our industry works. So this is just our kind of a breakdown of our events from 2021 to 2024. 2021, we had a lot of events, crazy year, but this past 2024 year, we had 52 weddings, which was a crazy year, crazy busy year. We had 56 booked, but we had 4 cancellations. So that sounds like one a week, but we're actually doing multiple a week with about 1 month of downtime. Not really downtime, we were doing other projects, but it was very, very busy. Made a lot of people happy, got a lot of people married. Event rentals over the years, so this is our rates that we bring in for just the rental of the building. So that could be weddings, corporate events, special events, just the rental of the building itself. So this kind of correlates with the amount of events that we have per year as well, but this is per fiscal year. So we have dropped down a little bit. However, the 2023 or 2022 to 23 year, that's when we were bringing in the deposits for the 23-24 season. So we're getting we're getting revenue for the season ahead of time. So next year we haven't received as many deposits, or for next year we haven't received as many deposits, but I see that coming up. The trend right now, it used to be 1.5 years, 2 years that they were booking out. Now we're getting back down to normal time, and we're back to like the 8 month to a year engagement. So that's easier to track financially. Bar revenue over the years. This is always a fun one to share. So 2020 is when we purchased the bar, I guess you can say, from Blue Mountain when they closed, and it is best decision we made. Especially as our building ages, we are going to have to continue to do maintenance on it to keep it up, and this is offsetting our costs a considerable amount. So we're well over our budget for the last fiscal year, and we're on our way to meet our budget of the $100,000 for this current fiscal year that we're in. That raise also is great from our mobile bar that we purchased. We've had that in action for a little over a year, and that's been fantastic. Really good.
That's one that's outside then? At events?
Outside or upstairs.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Staffing update. As most of you know, our assistant general manager position is currently open. Danielle left at the end of November to pursue another employment opportunity, and Kent and I are currently interviewing candidates. So currently we're still taking in applications and reaching out. I would love to have somebody hired as soon as possible so that we could train them during our slow period and have them up and going before we get busy again. But we're looking for the right person as well. So hopefully soon. Completed projects, like I was talking about, our mobile bar. We truthfully didn't have a whole lot of time to do any other projects this year. So we focused on pushing our mobile bar as much as possible. We purchased it in 2023, September of 2023. At that time, we did not have a register for it. So the advisory board for the event center decided to purchase a register, which we did, and that made it so that we could use it for all types of events with different types of bar options that they choose. The entire project with the bar, the cooler, and the register was about $6,800. The revenue that we've earned from just the bar itself, the mobile bar, since we've had the register is about $14,000, a little over $14,000. That does not include the events that we used before we had the register, because I don't have a way of tracking that, but I would estimate about another $4,000 to $5,000 on top of that $14,000. So great investment, I would say, and that's just selling beer and wine because we can't do liquor at it. So we're using it in a lot of different places. We're able to create a separate space. A lot of our weddings are a lot smaller now. We're not maxing out the building. They're not 350 person weddings anymore. They're usually 150 to 200 person weddings. So we're looking at ways to utilize the space, mainly that upper level. So after every indoor ceremony, guests will go upstairs while we flip that space in about 20 minutes. But while they're up there, they can have a drink now. And before then, they were just having lemonade and water, and we were not making any money off of it. So now that's just another way of doing that. And they're kind of staying upstairs about a whole hour now, and utilizing that as like a separate cocktail hour space. Then the photographers can come down and get their photography shots of the room before all the guests are in there. It's been worked out really well. Outdoor, we've done it a few times outside. Iowa weather makes it a little tricky, but we try to do it as often as we can, and so far, so good. Projects in the future. We've talked about this for a few years now, but it is coming time now to do the dance floor renovation project. So that's the wood floor in the building. It's time. It's got its use out of it, but we're looking at a $30,000 to $40,000 investment. Myself and the advisory board, we've met about it once. We'll probably be meeting again here this month, but we're looking at either a vinyl tile or a polished concrete, and we have talked about a regular tile as well. So we're just looking at the options, trying to narrow it down and make sure that we can keep everybody happy and keep the same aesthetic within the building. We're not looking to change anything, but also have something that we can maintain for a longer period of time and keep it looking nice and clean very easily. Right now we're having a lot of hard time.
How long, any estimate of time, how long that would take to put in a new floor?
They said within a couple weeks.
So, and then you just have to.
Yeah, so we're looking at doing it in like January, February of 2026. So it would kind of be like our painting project that we did this like about a year ago with Bruce. We would just shut down the building for 2 to 3 weeks in our slowest month and get it done.
Yep. Okay.
Then the only thing is what do we need to do afterwards? Is there going to be any cleanup afterwards? So we'd have to talk about that with the installer, but none of them have been concerned, so they understand that we're on a kind of a tight schedule with how we do things. We are working at creating another office space within the building still. We've gone back and forth over a couple different options, but right now the current plan is we have a front closet that is on the opposite side of the lobby from the coat room, and that'll be turned into an office. The current office will still stay an office, but it'll also be turned into storage and then more of a staff room as well. So we'll have a meeting space in an office plus a staff room with an office. Just outgrowing what we have, so making more space. And then we're always looking at new potential revenue sources. So we're looking at possibly hosting our own concert. This wouldn't be something that Orange City Arts would do. It would be kind of a different type of genre, I should say. Other venues in the area do this, so we kind of want to stay in competition. But we would be able to take in ticket sales and bar sales and, do something a little bit different with our venue and maybe get new people into the space that haven't been there at all or for anything other than a wedding. So just looking at options. That may not happen for a couple years because it takes a while to book those kinds of things, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. All right, and then to finish it up, this is what I've got for 2025 books so far. This is as of last week, and this is not quite accurate. We're at 31 weddings for 2025 now, and 4 weddings in 2026. So we're in engagement season right now, and I've got about 4 or 5 emails waiting for bookings. So, yep, we're busy. Still working on getting those special events and corporate events increased. I have a lot of repeat clients for corporate events that come back year after year, and that's fantastic. And I feel like the word's kind of getting out too as well. And then special events are just like anything that's not a wedding or a business meeting, so that varies from year to year on what it is. That's about all I have. Any questions?
Besides your assistant manager, how are you standing with employees?
Pretty
help
good.
On a day-to-day or event.
I have a lot of staff. I think we're sitting about 25-ish on hand. I always have a struggle in certain months. So May and October are my 2 hardest months to book or to staff. But other than that, I usually do pretty well, and I just try to pair stronger with less and get through the night. Yeah, usually when I have a 350 person wedding, that one's a little bit more difficult, but with 150 people, we get through it just fine. And then I have tons of bar staff. Everybody wants to be a bartender, so yeah, not sitting too bad, not as bad as other people are currently in the industry, so good. Feeling pretty lucky.
Will this be about the same numbers you had a year ago for pre-books, do you think?
Last year we were a lot higher. I shouldn't say a lot higher, maybe 10 more weddings roughly, but 2024 was just a crazy year for weddings in general. So, and that was everybody industry-wide. So I would say this is the same as what I had 2 years ago, or very similar. I like to have about 30 by the end of the year. That's pretty normal.
Do most people have their mind made up? I mean, when they come to meet with you or visit the event center,
pretty much.
Or do they have to decide?
Pretty much anymore, they've already decided. That's one reason why I spend a lot of time on our website. That if you don't have your pricing on the website, they won't book with you anymore. If your website's out of date, they won't book with you anymore. So we spend a lot of time just keeping it updated and our socials, because I do require them to come in for a tour just to make sure everything is what they want. But I still, they're pretty much decided for the most part. Yep.
Anything else for Jeff?
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
Well, want me to do Jim next? Okay, we're going to have Jim Pott, Chief of Police, come up, and he has a report in our packet, which is Exhibit 3. Thanks, Jim.
All right, thanks for having me. I'll go over the stats for the year. I really feel the numbers this year reflect on the hiring of our 2 new officers. The reason I say that is because our traffic stops are way up and our incident reports and arrests are down. I believe having more police presence during the day and night has really been a good deterrence of our town, and they're seeing that, and the numbers are going our way. With that, we wrote over 1,000 warnings last year. That's a lot for us. We got a lot of young, active officers out there. Our citations were also up, but our incident reports were way down this year, like 44%. So that's what we always want. We want the incident reports down and being with the public more. And the both juvenile and adult arrests were also down. I'm not sure why that is. I like to say it's because we have more police presence out there, but anytime the arrests are down a little bit, that's okay too. So that's kind of what we're trying to achieve there. Accidents were up some. We were doing pretty good on that number until December, and then we had 8 of them in December. So we had a few more accidents this year. Did over 3,300 calls this year, and that just is what the county gives us. That just comes from their dispatch. That doesn't count, all the calls that we get from City Hall, or all the walk-ins, or all the phone calls that we take just in City Hall. That 3357 is just from what the county gives us. So I think you could easily add another 1,000 calls to that. We always got someone stopping in here or calling us, or our secretaries are dispatching us to different places. So it's quite a few calls for a town our size. I feel kind of up there in numbers with everybody else, maybe a little more than some. We issued 374 parking tickets last year. 87 tickets were unpaid, but 43 of them were sent to the treasurer, and that's just another way of getting a citation paid. If you write a citation in Alton or Orange City, they have to pay that citation before they get their registration renewed at the treasurer's office. So kind of a nice thing. It's work worth doing to fill out all that paperwork, and then I give it to the treasurer's office, and then when people come in, they see that citation isn't paid, and they have to pay that before they can register your vehicle. So that's one way we're getting most of the money that we're getting. And the total amount received last year was $3,160.81. So we wrote quite a few parking tickets. That's good. One accomplishment I wanted to talk about, we updated our police policies. That was a big project. The last time our policies were updated was 2006. So actually took a cold call through Lexipol one day when I was in the office, which I normally never do. And this guy sounded really convincing, and I found out that there's a lot of agencies that surround us use Lexipol, such as Sioux Center or Woodbury County. And we got all our policies up to date. And with this program, they will actually send you updates throughout the year if they have 11 attorneys working for them. So if something that needs to be changed or there's an update in the policy, it automatically goes through me. Then I issue it to my officers and they acknowledge it. So we're always on the level playing field. And we're always up to date on policies, which I was pretty happy to get that done.
So what does that involve? What do you mean?
So there's like 300 and some policies. So it's anywhere from a traffic stop to pursuits to make an arrest, how you dress, what you wear, just top to bottom. So everything's covered. So It's just, like I said, it's just an extra layer of protection for everybody to have that done. So that was a good thing to have done. Some budget items that I'm asking for this year, 2 vehicles. We always replace the investigator car every 7 years, and that's up this year. We have been driving Ford Explorers. The guys seem to really like the SUVs over the pickups. They're just quicker and more maneuverable in town, and they're a lot cheaper, so I guess they're happy. That's fine. But they've been good to us. I know there's other agencies going to I know the State Patrol is going to Tahoes now. I don't think the price is that crazy considering it's a Tahoe, which is kind of surprising. So we might look at maybe a Tahoe or Explorer moving forward. But they don't like those big 4-door pickups. But that's why I drive it. We also try to stay up to date with our computers and car cameras and radios. That's always a challenge. We did receive 8 WT radios a couple years ago through a grant, and that saved us about $12,000. And so we'll ask to see if there's any money in there again this year, and we'd like to keep replacing our car radios. We replaced one last year, and they're $3,000 a piece, so it'd be nice to keep that on a good rotation too. So yeah, other than that, our equipment's pretty good. Got that new car up and going thanks to the street department. That was nice to them. That took Brecken a lot of time, and he did a really nice job on it.
So does every officer have a camera too?
Yeah, so we all have a camera in our cars, mobile vision, and then
Okay.
everybody has a body camera also. And then when we get done with our shifts, we put them in a download, and it puts everything on the computer. So it's really nice.
Yep. Protects everybody.
Yeah. Dalton is planning to go to the Spring Academy at WIT, which is 9 weeks. It starts March 17th and ends May 15th. So looking forward to getting him certified. So that would be a good thing to get done. And we're going or went through the process now for another officer, which we can talk about when it gets to that time. So you guys have any questions?
You're still looking at the dog for
Yeah.
next year as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit more research on that, and guys are pretty excited about the interest in it. So I think it'd be really good for our department, not just for the guy handling it, but just for all the people involved.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that will be included in the budget request along with the equipment, is when we get to that point, when we go through the budget council.
Anything else for Jim? Sure do appreciate you and your entire staff and keeping us safe. Not an easy job, so we value you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
You bet. Code enforcement, Kurt. There's Exhibit 2 in our packet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I can say it's been an eventful year in the department. You should have received 2 exhibits, and then I provided another exhibit later on when I forgot about the lots. When Tom Beck had been placed in front of you. We talked about that last. I'll go over the building permit side of it first. As you guys know, we changed to the call permit online permitting. That's gone good. So to date, there was 91 total permits, which was down 15 from last year, which wasn't surprising. The year started off kind of slow. The positive to that, housing really kicked up throughout the year and towards the end of the year for units. So this year we ended up with 25 single-family homes or apartments, which is probably on the average higher than normal. So 9 of those were single family, 4 duplexes, and then 1 apartment complex, which was 8. I did talk to the guy today. I did an inspection. He said that unit is actually already rented out, and they don't even have the sheetrock on the walls yet.
Wow.
So the need for apartments, I think, is pretty high on the list right now for the city. With the cloud permit thing, the big emphasis was on like food trucks and other vendors in town. Years past, we probably had 4 or 5, because by the time we knew they were here, they were gone. Today, we had 14 people apply for them. 2 of them were actually year-long permits, so that's gone good. And every permit, as of today, that's been done through cloud permit's been paid. Before that has been an issue, getting payment from people, but with it being on cloud permit, they get reminders also, and they get it emailed to them right away. So we usually have a payment before we can even send out the invoice. So that's very positive this year. So overall, the valuation of permits was just over 25 million this year, with fees taken in just over 65,000, which is down from the years in the past. One big reason I would say is probably because we never had any real big school projects. In the last couple of years, we've always had a large new school or new addition. College did put an addition on, but it wasn't to the value like we've had in the past, so that'd be the big reason there. One thing I'd like to note is on the deduct service hookup fees, this would be new for you guys this year, because when on the new spreadsheet, it brings up all the building permits, that's tied to that. So roughly with meter costs, hookup fees for sanitary sewer or water, the city took in just over $21,000 also on top of that. So yeah, so that would be, you guys have any questions on the permit side or the cloud permit or anything?
Are all those fees just a percentage of the value of the project?
Yeah, it's usually a valuation that I come up with through the national average or the contractor giving me the actual value cost of the project. And then it's off of schedule fees that we have that we'll have to probably be reassessing here in the near future where we want to go with, because we are on the low end, but there's some options there that we're thinking about doing. So we're actually, Earl don't know yet, but we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Okay, next thing I'd like to just give you guys a heads up on is the rental housing program. In the past, we've always said we've had a lot of rental housing or apartments in town. You've been provided with a list of actually all the structures we have in town, from single family to apartments. So obviously just the big one is single family homes and basement rentals alone is 161 houses or basements that are rented out in town. And then the other ones all basically breaks down into apartments. So currently we have 505 rental houses. Total that have been registered throughout the years is 527, but something like 23 of them have actually been sold, which has been good in a way too. Some of them, most of them have been actually sold for single family homes again, and then a slight few of them were stayed rentals. That's why that number's a little fluctuating there. So currently we've done 433 inspections. And 43 of them were HUD, so that was the third party option that homeowners have. And then I have 79 units left to inspect, which we will probably start hitting here shortly now that the Supreme Court hearing has been in favor of the city. So we will probably be notifying property owners again and take them through the process of hopefully doing it voluntarily again. So, because we did have 34 refuse to do the inspections, 10 the lawsuit, and then 24 individuals that refused it. So hopefully we can get most of those completed this year. Any questions on the apartment or rentals?
Majority of those are all unused.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So there's a huge need for rentals, and so yeah. I do want to go back to one thing. I should have said this earlier. On the permit side of it, that we talk housing a lot, need for housing. Currently, we do have 17 just spec homes that are available for sale. So I don't, for new units, I think there's a need. I mean, obviously we have a lot for sale, but with the affordable housing, that's why the rental housing is such a demand, because a lot of those houses that get, as you can see, 171 of them are rental units. That there's not that turnover in housing because a lot of them turn into rentals. So, yeah, to figure out the affordable housing, good luck.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing I'd like to talk about is just the lots, the available lots in city. Currently, we have 65 lots, city lots that are available for sale. We have 6 of them that are reserved, but they technically have a house being just finishing or on it. So there's no bare lots that are reserved. There are 3 multifamily lots that are reserved, that are empty lots, and then 4 multifamily lots that are available. So, and then our Gelderland addition, part of that 65, we have 18 lots out in Gelderland that hopefully we got to come up with a plan to try to move them. So I know we talk about it, discounts or incentives somehow to get somebody to build out there, but that's the total breakdown. And then it turns out to be just over $3 million worth of investment in lots that the city has.
So these lots are all buildable right now.
Yep. And privately, I don't have this on here, with the North Lyland being, available this year. And they had 7 lots before them were spoken for, so I believe those are the only 3 private lots that are available within any development within the city. Everything else has been sold. Either to build on it looks like there's bare lots out there, but a lot of it's property owners, adjacent property owners that have bought them, and obviously we'll never see a house probably on them, so.
There would be some potential custom lots in the canals.
And the canal, that'd be the only canal.
There's 17,
Yeah.
potentially 14 or 17, potentially custom lots in the canals.
And from what I've heard today it sounds like it's gonna be a busy season out there next year with buildings that with more than a fair amount of them being built. So.
Do you keep track of these same statistics for Alton? Because you take care of their permits too?
I take care of their assessments and their inspections. So I believe thinking maybe 5 homes this year that were built out there.
Do they have the same number percentage-wise of rentals, or you really?
I don't do the rentals at Alton.
Okay.
Yeah, don't bring that up. I shouldn't say don't bring that, don't suggest it. So, that's all I have unless you guys have any questions for me.
That's good. We appreciate you, Kurt.
Yeah.
More than we can say.
Have a wonderful 25.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Thanks, Gert.
Okay, agenda item 7 will be the first reading of ordinance number 855, amending the solid waste collection fees, and that is Exhibit 4 in your packet. And Earl, are you talking about?
Well, Janet can help me along here, but so you already approved of the contract, but now we need to go through the steps to amend the ordinance.
Okay.
So that's a typical process where you would need to approve that in 3 readings.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be the first reading. And then often we would, since it's a change in the, like what the fees and those things are, we would probably suggest for sure we would have another council meeting where we would look at the second and potentially third readings. So we would need a motion for a approval of the first reading of ordinance 855.
Support. Any questions or comments on it?
So this wouldn't go into effect until March. So if we go through this 3 reading process, then I can start changing the bill.
Yeah, right, then I publish it, yep.
All right. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, this is also a first reading of proposed ordinance number 856, incorporating the 2024 legislative changes, which is Exhibit 5 in your packet. So this will be the first reading.
Janet has worked directly with this, so I'm going to turn it over to her for any comments.
So since we moved doing our city code with simmering, McCoring, Iowa codification, they send updates to us with state legislative changes each year. So we've taken those changes and are incorporating them into our code to bring it up to date. So I tried to highlight everything to show the changes that they brought down. And I guess the one section that probably doesn't have a highlight is that on the second to last page is 136.04, with property owner's responsibility for maintenance. That was removing a sentence that takes the liability off of the property owner. So that's why I don't have anything highlighted there, because that sentence came out. But
just on the side of that, I told Jan I was going to talk about that in my report, but I forgot. But with that being taken out as the property owner possibly not being liable for the sidewalk, for insurance reasons, that we put it on the city, that I think it'd be highly suggested that we do a sidewalk ordinance, reimbursement program, to try to help offset some of the costs for the sidewalks. Because we can still make people fix their sidewalks, we can assess them if we have to. But in reality, if something would happen, it would probably fall back to the city for liability reasons if it wasn't fixed. So we've been advised that, even from the city attorney, that we should go more forceful with our sidewalk ordinance. So having a program in place, I think, would help citizens and help everyone. We just have to figure out what that cost share would be, or what we would voluntarily help property owners out with. So
is that another budget thing that we would discuss at budget time?
Yeah, we had talked about it at strategic planning, and we didn't. It was probably in the middle of your responses as far as a priority, but this is something that, again, if somebody falls, first responsibility usually goes to the homeowner, but the ultimate responsibility is for the city for enforcing the ordinance. So we could be, foresee potential of liability challenges if there are injuries related to sidewalks. So
does that pertain then to, because some areas don't even have sidewalks, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So
I think it's a broader conversation about where are we going to require sidewalks and reinforce and enforce it in those areas. Because there are certain development parts of the community that sidewalks are never put in.
Right.
Or sidewalks that only go half a block. You take that since just to say, well, if it goes a half block, we're taking it out. Part of that program is, if it doesn't get spent to homeowners, does it fall into into item where we can spend actually at the end of the year saying we're going to go in and take these sidewalks out or put this section in if that money's there or something, depending on how it's written. If the money's set aside every year, that there's a fund there for that to help it. I know we always talk walkability within the city, so I think should be high on the priority list too.
The 2021 community development plan in our mapping had an area that's identified as sidewalk priority areas, walkable priorities. Maybe that's the place to start within there, and then go from there. So I'll be coming back to you at budget time to talk about, is there something that we put in there and create some type of a application process that people can go through.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yep.
So this is again a 3-step.
yeah, I'm fine with that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I would move we approve ordinance 56 updates.
The first reading, is there support for that?
Support.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Very good. Thank you. And agenda item 9 is setting a public hearing to amend the city ordinance with the addition of maternity group home to R1 and RS1. So it's the Kurt show.
Yep, this is also another legislative change to add maternity group home to allowable residential uses in R1 and RS1. So basically it comes down to if somebody has a home or buys a home to turn it into a maternity group home. So it's basically just a legislative change that we're amending our ordinance. So trying to set the date for June, or January.
January 20? Yep.
January 20 for that hearing.
Cause I,
mandated by legislature.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
because I had somebody in the community say, "Are you guys putting up a maternity home?" And I said, "No, it's just part of the legislative."
Yeah, it's not like we know of any in town. There could be, but this just makes it a
Yeah.
lawful use.
So we need a motion to set up a public hearing on January 20.
Yep. January 20.
I'd make that motion.
Is there support?
Work.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks.
Thank you again, Kurt. Agenda item 10 is Exhibit 6 in your packet, tax abatement applications and minimum assessment agreements. Where's my 6?
Right.
Is that a lot what you do, Janet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do these every year to send them over to the county assessor to see if they qualify for the tax abatement plans that we have in place. And this year, a new part of it is the minimum assessment agreements for the commercial properties. So I just worked with Ross Simlink to, my numbers are probably a little conservative, just based off of talking to him, what we kind of came up with together for me to use. And so not necessarily what that's going to be assessed, but at least assess that. So once you approve them here, then I take all the applications over to them and then they work through them to find out which ones qualify, which ones don't.
Has to be a certain percentage growth before they qualify?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, on,
Models or additions?
yeah, it has, yeah, I want to say is one's 10%, one's 15%, but I'm questioning which one's residential, which one's commercial, but, and then obviously any new construction in an area where it can qualify. There's some exempt areas that are like city subsidized puddle jumpers, they don't qualify in those areas.
And on the residential, it's the what, first 150,000?
For 75,000, yeah, that changed last year. Again, that's legislature, but it's the first 75,000 is exempt on residential for 3 years? 5 years? 5? Okay, 5 years. Instead, it used to be 100% for 2 years, but.
So you're just looking for a motion to approve.
Right.
Support. Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 11, Parks Supervisor.
Yeah, so as you know, Brian had retired this summer from as a role of park supervisor. We had actively advertised and pursued some options. We made a couple of offers that weren't accepted at that time. And while we were keeping the ad out and the application form open, we really were not receiving much as far as any kind of response. But then we were really excited to get an application from Jackson Miller. And Jackson is currently working for the Dodge County Conservation Committee in, well, it's just west of Rochester, Minnesota is where he's working. And a variety of things, caring for properties there. He and his wife are planning a move to Orange City. His wife would be involved in the as a student in the PA program at Northwestern College. He could begin on March 3, which works out really well for us. And so we'd be excited to get approval for Jackson Miller as a park supervisor.
Great. Questions? Comment?
I make that a motion that we.
Will you do that?
I'll do that.
Good. And is there support?
Support.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 12, new police officer.
I'll ask Jim to come up and just share a little bit about the candidate that we would like approval for.
Yeah, so believe we had 9 applications. We did a couple interviews, and just recently we interviewed Daniel Crawley. He is currently a certified Sheldon police officer, and he's got a lot of good things going on. He's a certified school resource officer. He's a certified DARE officer. He's certified in defensive tactics. And with our schedule, I think he would really fit into our department nicely. Means we change our schedule from some days, swings, and nights. He could spend a lot of time in the schools, teach the DARE program, just a lot of things that we don't have right now in our department. And I think he'd be a great asset to our department.
He could begin on January 22 if approved.
January 22nd, yes.
Awesome, and he doesn't have to go to the academy, right?
No.
In his application, it looked like he possibly had training with canines as well.
Yeah, he did a little of that. So he started in the Glenwood Police Department. He was there like 4 years. Then he did a year at the Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office. And then he actually worked the Border Patrol. He's a Border Patrol agent for a couple years. And then the last 4.5 years he's been at Sheldon. And he did the K9. It was a hand-me-down K9, I believe, in Glenwood. So
he said that it's a wonderful part to have to the police department, but it's not a great thing for someone with a family, because your family really needs to buy into having the dog with you all the time. And so he was not interested in having that be any part of his future role. But he was very supportive of it.
He said it. Yeah, he said they used it a lot, and it was really good for their department. So
We just need a motion to accept his application. His hire, right?
Yeah, to approve this
To
item.
approve his hire.
So moved.
Questions? All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jim. Agenda item 13, rides contract approval.
Yeah, so we received a letter again from Rides out of Spencer that we would, this is for kind of budget year 25-26, would come into effect July 1 of 25, and it remain at $15,000 a year. The schedule would remain the same. I haven't heard one comment about rides in the past year, about positive or negative, so take that as a good thing. Seems like it's working well. So we would just need approval for that contract, again at $15,000 a year with rides.
All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative reports. Earl.
Yeah, first thing, since Rod wasn't able to be here, he asked me to share some thoughts, just as we prepare to go into budget time. So I'm just going to read it so I don't misrepresent. Much work has been done to put Orange City in a good position for home construction. We have good inventory of nice-sized lots for ranch-style homes, and with the development of the former MLC Floyd Valley site, this will only be enhanced. That said, the need for the larger lots for home construction is again at a critical point. If only 3 lots remain at North Wyland due to the sale of 4, the demand for larger lots is strong and helps the city address buyers will look, and either the city helps address it or buyers will look elsewhere for building these larger homes. He said failure to include any funding in the 25-26 for land acquisition or infrastructure development would be, in his opinion, not in the city's best interest. We know that there are lead times for development, and any lack of action on our part for next budget will push back hope of having more lots available to sell in the fall of 27 and into 28, and is that what we really want? Budget discussions discussed other projects that are nice amenities, including the sidewalk from Trinity to Highway 10, Dutch Inn to the new park. These are good projects, but he would like to have us consider taking those off the table if they detract from doing any other larger home development. So he's asking that city staff, Ryan and I, work with council members to tackle this issue, come back for recommendations no later than March 1, So just wants to make sure we keep larger lots in the conversation as we're looking at how we move forward. So that's from Rod. Update on site visit at the Dunlop Wildlife Area. FEMA has a site visit here on Wednesday. Claveringas have completed all of their work on rebuilding the berm. Looks really good. The trail got all the rock back down and everything. So the biggest work that we will have this spring will be the reseeding and fixing up the playground area and the shelter house and getting the fishing docks back in. But anyway, they're coming to do a site visit on Wednesday. But it was really good to see that work done by Claveringas. Today we held our quarterly ECD meeting, so early childhood development meeting. That includes Dale from Alton and Marty from the health system and Mike from the school district. So we had 4 representatives, including myself, staff, Ryan, and Kent are taking on roles there as well. We heard from Crittenton. They feel like the transition's gone really well. They said that the first 3 months they've operated at a kind of break-even point, so progress there. They did purchase some vehicles and investments in the camera system for the facility, which is a significant expense of over $100,000 by the time they put that all in. They said there are some transition pains they're going through. Not everybody likes the change, but they feel like things are going well. We did select officers going forward. I'll serve in the role as the chair of that for this year, as well as Dale Altmans would serve as the secretary treasurer, overseeing Kent's work as the actual accountant treasurer for the ECD. Any questions on that? Just an update, Brad and I had a call with the IPIB, and we're continuing. Our desire would be to work toward an informal resolution, and so we're still in that process. I had asked the question about program representatives, heard a little bit, but at this point I think we're staying with our current assignments. So just wanted to give you up to date if anybody had questions on that. Kent has been working with department heads, Matt in Public Works. I know Kent had something he wanted to share a little while. I can't remember what that was. Did you have something more you had to share, or was that it?
That was it, I think.
Okay. Then we're, Kent's working on those things, and we'll have budget time on the next 2 meetings, the 20th and the 27th.
Those are at the regular times, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting at 4:30, and we'll give you more update before we get to that. Kurt mentioned that on our rental inspection program that the city had appealed the district court's decision. That has been reversed and remanded by the Supreme Court. We still have to kind of work through what the process would be for those homes that they've requested us not to enter. There are third-party solutions, so we'll have to look for guidance there so that we follow what was the Supreme Court's guidance on that. And then Ryan will share with you a little bit about a housing report when we get there. Right? When you get your time, Steve. That's all I have.
Janet, do you have anything? Kent?
No, good.
Dan?
No.
Kurt?
Nope.
Jim?
No.
Matt?
Just want to take a couple minutes, just because it's been out in our world with the electricity and gas markets, with weather and winter and everything. Everybody's seems to be ultra aware of where things are at and some of the susceptibility of reliability of the electric grid and gas markets and things. All in all, I think we're in a good spot, and being aware of where we're at is good. You know, we've gone to with Clayton Energy's backing to basically purchase 100% of our gas in the winter months, and that's basically insurance gas from limit exposure to any drastic extreme weather. Along with that, the electric grid, monitoring that. We are part of SPP. We're in the SPP, Southwest Power Pool grid. You've heard of ERCOT or CAISO. This is the Midwestern Regional Transmission Organization, it's called, and they basically have a grading system of where we're at on grid resiliency. And actually, right now we are up the scale a little ways. No need to get concerned until we get here, where there'd be some load shedding, voluntary load shedding, and then really extreme where they would just drop. They'd ask utilities to drop circuits or drop load that way. So I think with the there's been some with the push of renewable energy, which is great, that there are some areas where we don't have the reliability that we once had with that, and really rely on like natural gas as an alternative fuel source for that to back up wind and solar when that's not working. So all in all, I guess to sum it up, we're the people we work with and our energy providers, we're all aware of it, and I don't think there's anything for us to worry about, but it is a concern from winter to winter. So that's just what I'm doing right now, is just providing a little awareness that way. So
Appreciate that. Yep. Thanks, Matt. Ryan?
The strategic planning was about a month ago, and during the residential portion of strategic planning, there was discussion, and then there was a suggestion regarding having an open house for the residential plans for 2025 in Orange City. And so Earl and I were working through just a schedule. We reached out to Jess at Prairie Winds. January 11th was open. And so we're kind of pushing towards having that be our open house. So it's a community-wide open house, January 11th. We sent out letters to every member that would be around, say, the Porches development. I think we sent out 24, 25 letters in that regard. And then we've got a social media push that we'll be putting together this week. So this Saturday, January 11th, 10 a.m. at Prairie Winds, a residential discussion regarding the plans for Orange City in 2025. There are 4 developments that we'll touch base on, the 4 main ones, obviously Puddle Jumper, including 14th Street, and really this ties to Kurt's 65 available lots that we have, plus Canal Heist, which will be a portion of that discussion, Gelderland Edition, which is the new elementary edition, as well as North Wyland, the couple of private lots on North Wyland. So that will be a portion of the discussion, and then the majority of the discussion we've invited Vision Builders to present to the community their Porches concept for the old elementary school. So that Porches concept will be presented, as well as another presentation that Earl and I will do regarding the Salem edition that R. Perry is still moving forward, working with Beck on, etc. So just talking amongst the developers, I know we'll have a few of them there. I don't know that they'll necessarily do a presentation other than Vision will be presenting the Porches. So, and you are all invited. Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, is there any...
I checked with Brad, and since it's a open meeting to the public, we don't have to worry about any kind of quorum issues or whatever, since it's an informative meeting. So that will be on Saturday.
Yeah, this coming Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Prairie Winds. We'll have some coffee and donuts, and we're hoping to have a decent showing. So.
Any questions or suggestions for us on that?
Will Vision present part 2 of their plan as well?
No, it will only be, I'm sorry, Earl, it will only be the 16 houses in the old elementary area, what they call the porches, and then the additional 16 would be something that they're willing to work with us over the next year. So
I'm not saying they won't discuss that, they may.
We might bring it
Our
up.
focus is we want to get the feedback from the neighborhood.
Have you heard much from neighbors yet? I mean, after you sent out the letters, have they?
We've had some back and forth, not after the letters have gone out, but we've had a little back and forth with some other members around there. Nothing substantial, but since the letters have gone out, inviting them to the open house, we haven't received any comment. So.
And you said it would be on social media too?
Social media will be this week. I'll work with Mike at Spireworks and obviously Jenny. So we'll be putting that off.
We love Jenny. Yeah. No, that makes a big difference. So thanks for doing all that. Good. Okay. Council. Brett, you have anything? Daryl?
No.
Olivia? Nope. Darren?
Nope.
Good, neither. So, motion to adjourn? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.